5 o'clock news on Channel 3. I'm your host, Erin, and with me I have my co-host, Riley.
Tonight, we're bringing you a story recently uncovered by psychologists who have been working to explain the tendencies of catatonic schizophrenia.
We've been researching a very special case, one of which 4 quadruplets were all diagnosed with catatonic schizophrenia. The Jeanin sisters, who had had a very difficult childhood due to their circumstances.
To begin, the father shows schizophrenic tendencies himself. As a child, the father was shy and fearful. He was a stutterer, and in his 20s, he became less good-natured. His friends thought him as low in comprehension.
As for the quadruplets' mother, her treatment of the girls did not help their condition. She decided to treat them all identically, actually proving to be detrimental since each of the girls had different levels of the disorder. The parents together made the situation worse by sheltering the children and not letting them interact with other normal children.
Their father was embarrassed of the girls, so they weren't allowed to go places or have friends over. Since each girl was treated differently by acquaintances and teachers, their expectations and self-concepts consequently led to different phenotypic expressions of their schizophrenic disorder.
Now to our in-studio psychologist, Paulie, with more details on the Jeanin quadruplets.
The Jeanin quadruplets are a very intriguing case of schizophrenia. They display not only the biological factors, but also developmental factors that lead to the development of the disorder. One interesting biological pattern is that the quadruplets' weights directly correspond with the severity of their schizophrenia. Nora, the heaviest baby, was ranked highest for intelligence and physical capability, whereas Hester, the lightest baby, had the most severe signs of the disorder. The study that observed the quadruplets was called NIMH, named after each of one of the quadruplets: Nora, Iris, Myra, and Hester. Nora, the heaviest and firstborn quadruplet, was the designated spokesperson and leader of the group. She also ranked the highest in IQ and was the first to have a job. After 2 years as a stenographic clerk, Nora had to leave her job for becoming overly psychotic. When she was 22, she was admitted into her first hospital stay. Described as withdrawn, hallucinatory, delusional, and slow of speech, she is characterized as having catatonic schizophrenia. After 3 years of being observed by NIMH scientists, Nora was eventually transferred to a state hospital and then back to her mother's house, where she had a series of clerical jobs that all deteriorated due to her mental state. While at home, Nora was functional enough to care for her less mobile sisters. On the GAS scale, Nora would be ranked a 50, as her schizophrenia impaired her ability to work. Iris, the second born, but third in IQ and weight, was also hospitalized at 22 for mental illness. Her symptoms are described as somatic complaints, insomnia, the belief that she was being watched, auditory hallucinations, and posturing. She was given a total of 67 electric shock treatments to help improve her schizophrenia. Iris is also described as having catatonic schizophrenia and spent 12 years in a state hospital, where she received round-the-clock care and eventually was sent to daycare during the day. Iris ranks 30 on the GAS scale. Her behavior considerably influenced by delusions and hallucinations. Myra was a third-born quadruplet, but ranked second in weight and IQ. She was first diagnosed as catatonic schizophrenic in 1955 during the first NIMH evaluation of the quadruplets. Her symptoms including psychomotor retardation, multiple somatic complaints, and periods of depression and anxiety. She was not adequate at caring for her 2 children and received no medication to function normally up until 1976. She became paranoid and delusional about her job and employer and was hospitalized for 2 months. She returned to work in 1978 but became delusional about her new employer again and tried to kill herself by overdose after family stress. She attempted suicide again in 1980 and did not return to work. Myra received the same ranking as her sister Nora, a 50, with serious symptoms and impairment in social, occupational, and school function. Hester, the last born and lightest baby, ranked lowest in IQ and had the most severe symptoms of schizophrenia. Hester had emotional and functional problems for a number of years, resulting in her withdrawal from high school at the end of 11th grade. She's described as fearful, withdrawn, irritable, confused, and later hallucinatory. By the time she was 24, she was clearly psychotic and diagnosed as having schizophrenic reaction catatonic type. Hester's schizophrenia has remained chronic and unremitting. For the past 15 years, she has been maintained on medication as an outpatient. On the GAS scale, she ranks the same as her sister Iris with a score of 30. Her behavior is considerably influenced by her delusions and hallucinations. Because Nora and Myra both ranked a 50 on the GAS scale, and their sisters Hester and Iris both ranked a 30, they are often studied as two pairs of identical twins rather than one set of quadruplets. The varying severity of their schizophrenia is apparent. This was made worse by their parents' decision to treat them all identically. Jean and sisters were very important for scientists studying schizophrenia. They shed light on both the hereditary and developmental factors of the disorder. Erin and Riley, back to you.
Schizophrenia is a very rare but serious disorder. If you or any of your loved ones show symptoms such as hallucinations, delusions, thought disorders, or movement disorders, please visit your nearest psychologist or clinic.
Thank you for tuning in for the nightly news. Tomorrow, join us to see how many coffee cups it takes to kill yourself. Thank you for watching Channel 3 Eyewitness News. Alright, we can just edit this out. Okay, ready? I don't want to start.
You can't flip it like that. You can't flip it yet because I have my stuff on there.
What do you mean?
She has more to say below.
Yeah, because I feel like...
And then, honestly, the more papers, the better. Just scatter them shit around you're, intense into your psychological studies.
Because we kind of know, what we're doing, and if we, fuck up, we can just edit it out. Let's just run through it. Ready? Good evening.
Okay, so good evening, and welcome to the 5 o'clock news on Channel 3. I'm your host, Erin, and with me I have my co-host, Riley.
Tonight we're bringing to you a story recently uncovered.
Shit. Okay. You have it the wrong way!
I do?
Yeah, that needs to be done. As for the...
Fuck! Now it's me, because you said you can't look at me. What are you laughing at?
No, don't stop it, don't stop it. Maybe I should say this, hold on. Okay.
I have to pee. I was fine until you started smirking at me.
Yeah, I can tell when you're smirking. Was that too fast?
We started at that point.
Rats!
The gene and quadruplets are a very intriguing case of schizophrenia. They display not only the study that observed the triplets was called NIMH. What?
Quadruplets!
And a series of clerical jobs that all went shitty because she's fucking nuts. As her would be ranked, scored. Her Erin sisters. Is that how you say it? Erin sisters were. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
I'm not doing it!
Oh god, okay. Everybody take a breath. This is the final take.
You just turned your mop.
You go. Such as hallucinations, delusions.
I could feel it coming, and then I was like, shit, Erin's about to see me smirking, and then it's just gonna all go to shit.